This is the instructional video for the setup and beginning of the typographer's book project. And in this video, I'm going to go over the process of creating the file for the typographer's book, and I'll show a few pointers. This is the last project in this course, so by this point, a lot of this information has been covered. So please feel free to reference and lean on some of the other videos if you need to remember some of those skills. So I'm going to start by creating a new document. And in this one, you have a choice. So you can work with an 8x8 square, or you can work with a 5x8 vertical format. So either way, you need to type in those measurements. So I'm going to type in 8in here and 8in here. It's going to create the square format. Or we can go ahead and type in 5in for the width and 8in for the height. And that'll give us that vertical format. I'm going to go ahead and go with the vertical format for this one. But again, just all of the same things apply. You'll just have a different size that you're looking at. I'm going to go ahead and leave all of these things the same. I'm fine with just having the standard 1/2 inch margins, which I need to set because I have the old settings in here, but it should default to those settings, which are 3p. So I'm going to go ahead and put that everywhere. All right, so now we have the margins we need. I do want facing pages on this one, so I'm going to turn that on. And I'll go ahead and enter that I want 10 pages. All right, it's going to go ahead and create what we need. So if we open the pages palette, we'll see what we have here. So here's all the pages we need. So the book requires you to create 5 spreads. So the cover and back cover counts as one of those spreads. So you're seeing that here, and then the 4 are in the inside. Remember that the intention of this is that you would make it into an accordion fold book. So an accordion fold book doesn't really have seams or gutters. So one thing I want to encourage you to do is have things that bleed across these spreads when you're working on the pages that are connected. So having things go across this gutter space. Oftentimes that's something that we wouldn't do, but here we will want to. So just a couple things you may want to explore. You may want to make swaths of color. So you may want to actually create large areas of color on the page. So you do that by creating a rectangle and then filling it by coming down here and changing the fill. I recommend oftentimes outlining type. One of the requirements here is that you're only allowed to use typefaces by your typographer. So you'll have to collect those resources. You can always email me if you are struggling. But once we get those installed, which I showed in one of the previous videos, you'll have those up there to play with. And then I like to outline the type by coming up here to type and create outlines. I already did it, so it's grayed out. But that'll allow me to start playing with the type in terms of making it larger. Remember, the idea behind this assignment is to really make it about the type, to really showcase the abilities and the details of these letter forms and the work of these amazing people. So please embrace the type. That's really what I want you to be focusing on. Then I might make some type boxes, which you should be familiar with, so we can flow body copy in here. So that's the basic of this assignment. I think those are most of the things that I want to show. The other one last thing I want to show is that if you ever want to have things bleed from one spread to another, in this assignment, I would recommend kind of eyeballing things. So we can copy this. So I'm going to edit, copy, and then I can come up here and I can paste in place. And that's going to at least get me close. And then I can slide this over and I can look at where the edge of the page is here to help me determine where it should leap onto this page as well. And that'll help us see that these things connect. And again, if you were actually assembling this, they would all connect together. So once we have that, we need to work a little bit on the back. So the back is really one large area that we can work with. And I want you to explore it as one solid zone. So I think the best way to do that is to actually build one large page. So I'm going to go ahead and show that here. I'm going to make a new file. So once you're in here, we need to create one large page. So depending on the book you're doing, it'll depend on what size it is. So there's 10 pages in total. So I'm going to set it up for the 5x8. So it needs to be 8 inches high, and then 10 pages at 5 inches, it will end up being 50 inches. So that's what we'll need there. If you're doing the 8x8, it would be 8 inches here and then 80 inches here. So it would actually be 480. So enter whatever you need to enter, and that'll give us one large page. So I'm just going to click 1 here. I'm going to uncheck facing pages, and that'll give us this zone that we can really play with. And this will be the back of the book. So remember, this is a slightly more decorative idea. This is something that is not supposed to have text that's readable. It can have annotations or small things, but I want there to be a clear relationship between the front of the book that we'll read and then the back that we'll look at. So again, I'm allowing you to set it up like this because I think it'll make it more interesting. But what I'd really like you to explore here is potentially enlarging type, playing with making patterns, playing with maybe setting text. You could use quotations here. You could play with some of the glyphs in the glyph palette. You could rotate things and really make it about the details of the letters. So it's really up to you how you want to handle this. But this is how I recommend setting up the file. That way when we turn things in, we can combine these together. And we'll be able to look at the front in spreads, and then we'll be able to look at the back as one large image, as it would be if you opened it up from the back side of the accordion fold book. So I hope that helps you get started on this assignment. Remember to always package and save your file. That's really going to be integral to keep you going on this, since we're using a lot of different typefaces. And email your instructor if you have any questions at all. So good luck.